I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded today. Also pay respects to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening today. This is Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast designed to give an insightful look into the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Ri'chard.
And this is Melanated in Melbourne.
The podcast dedicated to exploring the Australian lifestyle through the Black... Damn it. I'm not going to try it again.
Yes, exactly. Sit in your flaws, your imperfections. You are perfect as you are.
Ma'am.
That's an original song, so nobody could sue me for that. I just made that one up.
Did you copyright it?
I didn't.
You're about to lose that song. It's actually a song that I wrote.
They're gonna steal it.
3 hours ago.
3 hours ago.
But we are here once again, and we have a wonderful guest with us, my dear friend Jordan.
Yay! Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Hooray! We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh,
I'm so excited. I was saying before, we've been listening in the car. We've been listening at home, on the way to work, on them trams.
Oh, come on, tram. Come on, PT.
Come on. It's a struggle. And it's been good. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy.
We're beyond happy to have you because it's actually really funny. Nicole, you may not know this story, but when I was making the Melanated Melbourne group chat, the meetup, I ran into Jordan, and you were going back to Sydney a few days before our first meetup. So you would have been at the original meeting, but you lived in Sydney at the time. So I was like, now that you're here, I got a bunch of Black Americans. I'm leaving. I think you left the day before.
Yeah.
So it was missed opportunities the windows. So as soon as you moved here, I was like, get your ass over here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I kept running into you because you work near where I live. So I kept running into you on the street. I'm like, bitch, what are you doing?
I'm literally down the block from you. I'm just there.
So, give your origin story, who you are, how you got here, talk about your DJ life or anything, everything.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a lot. All right.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, where are you from?
All right. Let's start there. So I'm Jordan. I was born and raised in the DMV. I'm from Maryland.
Hey.
But in Australia, I always say DC because that's what people
enough.
reference. They know. I say the White House.
20
minutes from the White House. And they're like, yep, cool, got it. Maryland is where I was born and raised. I moved to New York for college and loved it. New York New York was amazing. While I was in New York in my undergrad studies, I did a number of exchange programs.
Oh la la.
She travels.
Oh my God.
Stamp.
Ew, international. Yes. I love that.
Yeah. So the first time I came to Australia was on one of those exchange programs. Yes. So I did an exchange at one of the universities here in the city, and I loved Melbourne. I didn't fall in love with the school, but I fell in love with Melbourne. I stepped off the plane and was like, this feels right.
Yes, that's exactly. I literally, on the first podcast, I got off the plane. I'm like, I don't know anyone here. It was rainy today, and I'm like, this feels good. This feels like where I need to be. I didn't know anybody. I had no plans. I'm like, this is it. This is it. My body's like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck with that for sure.
Yeah. You just feel something, and I knew, and I was like, all right, look, I'm not loving the school, but I'm gonna pocket this away for another time. And so I did, and ended up traveling a bit. Finished my studies. Was working in New York for a while. Just burnt out. And
I get that. 100%.
It happens.
Same.
That's
how I felt in New York as well. Love it. Awesome city to be in, but my God, the grind.
The grind. And that's something that is not quite understood here. That level of grind.
It's in everything, in everything that you do. Even the pace on the sidewalk. You have to walk a certain speed. Otherwise, people are going to start to cuss you out.
That's it. That's
For real.
You know what? Everybody is walking with purpose.
Yes.
Busy.
Because time is money there.
Yes.
And you cannot waste a single minute because that is money.
Are you sleeping?
Why? It's why?
What side hustle is this? I don't understand.
Exactly.
How are you monetizing this?
Sleep therapy. Okay.
Therapy? Oh my gosh. Oh. For real.
So I got a little bit burnt out. Was working in the city. A best friend of mine was also working where I was working. And we said, look, we got to switch it up. We got to try something else. I said, well, why don't we take a year and just travel, do something different? And he's like, yeah, let's do that. And so we were talking about Atlanta. We were talking about DMV, California. And at some point I said, well, girl, look, if we're going to do it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And so I said, have you thought about the possibility of Australia? And he's like, no, I've never even heard of it. And
no, not
He didn't see Samurai Jack?
I don't know her. If I saw her walking down
Kangaroo Jack, not Samurai Jack.
The globe we had in my classroom it didn't have no bottom. There was no southern hemisphere. We didn't have that part.
We talked about it, and he's like, yep, that sounds fantastic. Let's give it a go. So that's how we ended up coming out here. And for me, it was the second time. Because I had been to Melbourne before, I said, let's make it new for both of us, and let's go to Sydney and try something different.
Cute.
And, oh, girl, look, I saw on the map Balmain. And on the map, it looks close to the Opera House and all of that. I don't know. For y'all who don't know where Balmain is in proximity to nightlife and everything, it's far. There's no public transit really.
Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, we stayed in Sydney for a little while, ended up moving down to Melbourne after a month because it just wasn't the right fit.
Bye, girl.
Said, ta-ta.
It's not working.
Ta-ta. Yeah. And mind you, this whole way, I brought my DJ board, all my music stuff. I'm trying to find a way to make it work. Ended up in Melbourne for a little, went to a music festival, which is highlight of my Australian life so far. And it was fantastic. While I was at this festival, cooked.
Period.
Yeah, period.
Know that.
Yeah. Met this group of people, and we're having a chit chat. And one of the guys in the group goes, all right, you've done Sydney, you've done Melbourne. If you want to try something different, go to the West Coast. West Coast, best coast. And he painted this picture. It was, I know. And you know what I did? I ate it all up. I ate it all up.
You got hustled, bitch.
Yeah, I did.
No.
I did. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Oh my God. And so the place that he was talking up is Broome. And
Stop. Like, Perth would have been okay. But Broome is nobody's. I'll let you finish your story.
It's far. Have you been to Broome?
I have not been to Broome. I haven't been to Dustpan. I haven't been to haven't been to Mop.
That knob's on Broome 6. Let's get it together.
But it's funny because I told one of my girlfriends back home, I said, look, I ended up out in this place called Broome. And then I showed Broome on the map. And it's far.
Oh, no.
And he goes, girl, that's why they call it Broome, because that bitch is swept to the side.
Oh, my God. It just sounds far.
But it's beautiful.
Far.
It ended up being such a fantastic place to be. Met my partner, ended up staying in Australia, ended up back in Sydney, and now here in Melbourne. So that's a little bit of the sort of, yeah.
So with your Broome experience, like how long were you there exactly?
Yeah.
Because was it like a high and by? Because when I got stuck in Perth, I got stuck there for a boy, did a bunch of stupid shit. That 3 months felt like 3 years. But Broome is even smaller than Perth itself. So what was that like for you and how long were you there?
So I was there for 3 months. When I first came to Australia, it was on the working holiday visa. As you probably know, the stipulation with that was if you want to stay past that 1 year, you've got to do regional work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Slavery.
Yeah.
It's slavery.
Manual labor.
The amount of horror stories I've heard. Did you do it?
I did. But listen,
strong.
listen. Now, y'all, look, I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Now, tell me how I ended up in, what do they call those things?
Oh, not like an abattoir.
An abattoir.
No.
Yeah. And I didn't know a thing.
Oh, that's like a piggery. Okay, so that's like where that's where pig slaves are. And they being sent to death.
That is. And I had no clue.
No.
I arrived in Broome and I was in a backpackers and I met this guy that was like, oh, if you need a job, you can work while I work. And I said, well, look, girl, I need money.
Yeah, for real.
You know, when the bank account is declining.
Correct.
We need money.
Correct.
We need money.
Yeah.
And so I said, sure, cool, whatever. Abattoir. And I said, that sounds cute. I mean, it sounds
no.
French.
No, honestly, that sounds so fancy. Like, what's wrong with
It's
abattoir?
giving
Like,
voulez-vous coucher.
Yes.
I thought Avatar: The Last Airbender personally, but that's okay.
Sorry.
It's cute. That's it.
I'm like, yeah, me too. Let's do it.
That's it. That's it. And so I said, sign me up, abattoir.
Abattoir.
And I did. And he said, okay, well, here's the thing. You've got to get up at 4:45 because we've got to travel. So it was a bus that would go almost an hour and a half outside of Broome. Now, Broome is, Google it. Map, put it on the map. You know
Let
it.
me do it now.
Do it now. And when you get into Broome, you've got to 2 fingers, zoom out just so you can see how isolated this place is. It is far.
Oh, girl.
Yeah. So it's proper outback. So,
girl. What?
So almost 1 hour, 1 hour and a half outside of Broome is where this abattoir was located. So we took a bus, top of the morning, and I got there and I had no clue what it was because they had stationed me at the end of the production line. So I was really just moving boxes from the conveyor belt to the freezer.
Oh my God.
And so it was cold and it was heavy, but I didn't see the full scope.
You're not investigating in the box. I'm like, I'm not looking at the box.
Yes. What's in the box?
I didn't know.
That's what I was thinking.
I didn't know. And you know, girl, curiosity killed the. Okay, so I didn't ask.
Already
I
out of the way. Like, there's so many horror movies based on this.
Wow.
Like, I don't get paid enough to look inside that. Here you go.
That's it.
Bye, Susan.
That's it.
Good on your brain for protecting itself because
It did. But
Nicole
week
would've
2 came
I
around.
would have looked. I would have been scarred.
Yeah, but you know what? It was odd that you had to go through a whole quarantine situation. You had to put on the whole outfit and go through a room and get washed down before going into the factory. But I didn't think a thing. Girl, I was just seeing money.
Yeah. I mean, real.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're at
do
that
what you
point.
gotta do.
Week 2 came around and one of the guys goes, "Have you gotten the full tour of the full facility?" I said, "No." I said,
okay.
"Yeah, I didn't." I said, "No, I haven't gotten the full tour." I hadn't. I said, "No." I said, "But I love a tour. You know, show me
a tour of the abattoir. The abattoir tour.
I do. I mean, it sounds like promotion.
Oh, Lord.
And girl, they took me from start to finish. And when I saw everything that was happening, I said, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Ended up leaving that job. I ended up getting a job in town working at a local cafe.
Oh, thank God.
Which was, to date, the best job and experience that I've ever had. It was, a family-run business.
Oh, that's so cute.
Made smoothies by day, DJ'd by night. It was fantastic.
You know, DJing, like, how did you get your start? And also your DJ name. What is the meaning behind it?
Ausli Hue is my artist name. Ausli is a sort of spinoff of a family name on my father's side. So Ainsley is a name on dad's side. And Hue is my middle name and a family name on mom's side.
Cute.
So it's sort of an amalgamation of those two things.
You're taking them with you everywhere you go. I love that.
Right? Yeah. Just a little twist. A little twist. Yeah. And I grew up with music in the house, but as a pastime. So my mom works for the government, but would sing in church every weekend and is an amazing vocalist. My father, whenever we would be with him, he would be playing the piano. On the weekends, would be playing in every denomination of church, everything from Catholic churches to SDA churches to Baptist churches. And so when we were with him for the weekend, we spent the whole damn weekend in the church. Yeah. But the byproduct of that, and I think this is such a big thing in the Black American community, is music.
Yes.
And community.
Yes.
And we grew up with that every weekend. We grew up with good music.
Good music and singing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's rehearsed, but it's not rehearsed, girl. It is spiritual.
Very.
And people are moved and talented. Talented. So I grew up with a lot of that.
Beautiful.
Jazz, gospel, spirituals. As a teenager, I started writing music and I started producing music. That's actually how I sort of began my journey in the music world. And DJing is something that came after college. I think after I graduated, I thought, what is a way that I can try to activate my music? And DJing sort of presented itself as a pathway, really.
That's so good. I feel like really good DJs know all the corners of music, and it's better to have like a widespread crop to pull from.
Yeah.
And everything, like a musical knowledge.
Yeah.
Which is something I feel like is kind of maybe getting lost in the weeds a little bit nowadays.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, you're right. DJing can be an art form.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
I totally agree.
It really can be something that, I mean, you have the opportunity to curate an experience that is just in that moment.
Totally.
Right? That doesn't always happen, though, right? There's a lot of DJs
Understandable.
out here that be press and play,
Listen.
transition.
Playlist, yeah,
Okay.
the playlist.
You know,
Okay,
Nicole's
this
getting
is
on
a
the-
sore
I didn't want to go there.
for me because the transitions out here, take them to the shop. They need to get tuned up. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Now-
These,
Yeah.
That's perfectly timed.
Wow. No, because I don't know what is going on. Like the transition is everything. It's guiding you through the journey of music. And when you're just like, well, I'll just play the next song, like skirt. It's so jarring and it throws your groove off. You threw off my groove.
You threw off the Emperor's groove.
You threw off the Emperor's sorry. As they're thrown off the cliff. It's just a level of care that's supposed to go into the experience, and people here just think that I just need people on the dance floor. I just need people to dance. Yeah. They'll just take whatever it is, and it's just like...
Yeah. Look, I feel like the producer does a lot of work in creating the song, but the DJ has the opportunity to bring those songs to life on a dance floor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so you've got to think about that.
Absolutely.
But apparently in Australia you don't.
Listen, that's the best segue in the entire world, because when we start talking about the nightlife, we've had a lot of experiences here.
Yes.
Some good, a lot interesting,
Some
lot
ashy.
very unique. Some ashy, yes, some ashy.
Some of them have been ashy.
So when we were thinking about who could possibly be a good guest for this, I was like, I'm gonna hit up Jordan, because like, one, also Black, you've experienced it from both sides of the booth, and to give your input, and especially if you've been working in music before you got here and after, because music is, I think, at the heart of going out, in my opinion.
Totally.
Anyway. So I'm super happy to have you here. And I think the first question I want to ask you is, if you want to compare your experiences working here versus back home, not which is better, because I already kind of know the answer, but what was your favorite experience here, and how would it kind of line up with one back home, like work experience on this side or that side of the booth?
So a memory that I would cherish forever here in Australia is being able to DJ at World Pride.
Beautiful. In Sydney.
In Sydney last year.
Oh, gorgeous.
And that was electrifying, even feels like a minimal word to use to describe that experience. Having so many people in the same place from so many different places at one time was just, beyond. So I think that for me is a highlight. And I think in that moment, the quality of that experience transcended really what I was playing. It was really the people. It was really just having all of those people in one spot.
The crowd matters.
The crowd matters.
The crowd determines the vibe. Yeah.
100%. So that, for me, easily is one of the highlights, if not the highlight, of my sort of performing journey so far. Yeah.
Was it difficult to end up in that position? Because, I mean, that's a huge achievement. Was it like a lot of auditioning for a show where you get called back to do all these extra things? Or was like, were you competing against other people?
So Sydney is interesting. Sydney is interesting. In the Sydney queer scene is interesting. And if I can, I would go even further to say that the Sydney gay scene is interesting, because I find I can distinguish between the gay scene and the queer scene.
Yes.
And especially in a place like Sydney, which can be quite homogenous. And so for me, getting gigs in Sydney, particularly the Sydney World Pride gigs, that came after a couple of years of just meeting the right people and being in the right place at the right time. But I would dare to say that that might also have something to do with me being Black. And me being different. And that is something that I have been conscious of on both sides of the booth. As a performer, but also just as a person going to clubs or to parties or to venues. I have been quite aware of that. An interesting thing to sort of dissect and get into.
Understandable, because I guess you're just in a level of self-awareness when you're in those kind of environments.
And we definitely have been in that same situation, like, obviously not on that side of the booth, but anytime Nicole and I go out, we are going to be seen and perceived, and the camera's going to go, and we're going to be on their front page. I was actually thinking about that when you were talking about how homogenous it was, and I was thinking about all the DJs that I've seen at different parties and festivals, like local DJs, and there's not many people of color in that sphere. Like, can you speak to that at all?
I can agree to that.
Fair.
I can agree to that. Like, I think us moving down to Melbourne this year has sort of shifted things in a positive way in terms of how I perceive the nightlife world in Australia. But in Sydney, I mean, it was very, very homogenous. Towards the end of our journey in Sydney, I ended up working for a music school that was in conjunction with a large music studio. Because of that experience, I think I started to get involved in the subcultures of Sydney. And so I think it was then that I started to meet people of color and just a more diverse creative community in Sydney. Melbourne has been a little bit different. I've seen a lot more diversity actually in Melbourne, but in Sydney, in the gay scene, it was quite homogenous.
Yeah. And then the lockout laws in Sydney are crazy. Have I tried to explain this on the show before? I can't remember.
You know what? I can't remember either because I never remember what conversations were in person or which one on here. So just do it again. Do it again.
Great.
It's relevant for the moment.
If I've already said it, fast forward. The button works. But the main thing when we talk about Sydney versus Melbourne is that when it comes to the nightlife, Melbourne has the reputation of being a better city for nightlife because Sydney has the lockout laws where I think it's just that at a certain time at night, I assume midnight, you're not allowed to change clubs or change venues. Like the place that you started at is essentially the place you have to end at, or you can just go home. You don't gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell up out of here. You're not able to be like, oh, I heard about this bar across town or this club across town. Apparently it's popping right now. Let's go over there. Like you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. Look, so when I first moved to Sydney from Broome, the lockout laws were absolutely still in effect.
That's what I was going to ask about.
They've been lifted.
Oh, good.
They have. However, like it's different. You know, last week I was out on Chapel Street here in Melbourne, and I would have thought it was a scene out of a movie. Every single venue was packed and overflowing.
Yes.
Cars were playing music, out the trunk. You had groups of people that were just hanging out, having a good time, and there was a buzz. You would have thought it was like New Year's Eve or a holiday, right?
Yeah,
that kind of holiday. And it was just Saturday.
Chapel Street. Yeah, Chapel Street is like, that's where the wedding that I went to, that's where the reception was last night, and it was an absolute sea of people to drive through in the Uber, like just to get out, because it is just out and about pumping.
Yeah.
Pumping.
And that I think is different to Sydney, or the experience that I had in Sydney. It's just not quite the same.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think the first time I went to Sydney was 2017 and lockout laws were still happening. So after a certain hour, you couldn't have shots anymore.
Yeah.
You couldn't have doubles anymore. What you were saying about leaving the venue, it was like, oh, it's 1 a.m. If you leave, you're gone. You got to get your keys, then take them home. Because when I first got here, I moved to Melbourne. I did a week here. I was like, oh, I love Melbourne, but I don't want to give up on one spot. So I went everywhere. Sydney was next. I went out and people were friendly in Sydney, but it's like, oh, I met you at a bar. I text you next week. Let's get lunch. Nothing. I see the bar again, like, oh my God, hey, what's up? It's so cool to see you. Yeah, we'll catch up. We'll talk about it later. Message again. Nothing. I'm like, all right, cool. So everything was felt very surface level, this is for appearances.
Yeah.
And then there was no follow-up behind it. So it always just felt like very cliquish. And I think a lot of people in Australia as a whole are cliquish. And I've just been really lucky with my friend groups.
Yeah.
Most of my friends are expats, though. It's like, they're people like, I don't have any friends either. Let's stick together.
Yes.
And then when we find other lost souls, like, get your ass over here.
Totally. We're the island of misfit toys. We're just going to join all together.
A lot of the Australians I met, they're like, I'm having hard times making friends, and I've been here my whole life. And I think that is really exemplified in Sydney, because it's just very like, this is what we are doing.
Yeah.
In some places, it feels like LA in a sense, like if you're not in a certain scene, you can't help me, so I don't really want to. But when you get to Melbourne, it's like, we're here to have fun. I'm a barista, and I also do this. My career is whatever. I pay the bills. I'm having fun. I'm living my life. Let's go get fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
I'm not always in that mood, but it's more welcoming than the alternative.
Yeah. But you know what? One question I would throw at y'all.
Ooh, come on. Yes.
Because something that I have noticed in the move down from Sydney to Melbourne, and I don't know if I just acclimatized to Sydney or if I'm just a bougie bitch, but one thing about Sydney is they do love a dress up. They will get glammed up.
Yes.
Puffed up. I don't know if I can name.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
shout out to her, because I love her, because I have a good time there every time.
And in Sydney, puffed up for a little while.
Oh, that's right, because they have to. That's right. They got the Melbourne one and the Sydney one. Yes. Yeah.
I think Melbourne might have been first. And they, for a while, they were doing puffed up Sydney at the Ivy, which is a venue in Sydney, in the city, and it's glamorous. Ooh. Like, we're talking, to get into the venue, you've got to send up this giant ass flight of stairs, this venue that is in the middle of the city and high up, and it is vaulted ceilings with a skylight. They had queens that were like almost hanging from the fucking ceiling. Like lavish. it was lavish. It was lavish.
Yes.
And the girls get dressed up. And then, we came down to Melbourne.
I'm sorry. I'm already laughing.
Yes.
That pause was so.
You said everything already, but I want to
Didn't
hear
even have to say the words. Didn't even have to say the words. Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? Someone told me once, they said, when you go out, bring value.
Ooh.
Bring value. I can't remember who it was, but someone said, bring value. And that could be in what you're wearing. That could be in your energy, however you sort of interpret that. But bring value.
Bring value.
Bring value. And girl, sometimes when I go out in Melbourne, to bring up a word that was once used on this very show, dusty. Dusty.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is down here in Melbourne. They're just like very much like, listen, like we're dusty. We wear something like over and over again. We look like we may not have housing, but that is our vibe, and we drink coffee.
Yes.
And if you don't like it, you can get fucked.
Yes.
And that's just the vibe. They're like, we don't give a shit. And there's kind of like okay, you kind of respect it.
You do.
A little bit. They're just like, this is how I am. If you don't like it, you can go.
You do. Yeah.
You
Actually,
can
I
go.
differentiate on that just the tiniest bit because there's a certain river that divides two groups of people in the dustiness versus the lavishness unnecessarily. And if we're going to talk about it, we haven't talked about it yet.
We haven't.
Yeah.
And I think that because North Side is where I live. I love North Side. Like I'm North Sider for life. You can just show up to a bar, wear an Indio thing. Like, oh, so-and-so is coming from a costume contest. They went to a wedding. So-and-so is getting a divorce. Like you just show up as you are. Do what you want to do.
Come as you are.
It's very laissez-faire. But Southside, for example, we'll pop down. I'm actually thinking about going Southside this evening. And I've had my neighbor who's new. He's from Canada. Anytime when you go out North Side, I was like, wear whatever you want. Going South Side, just send me a picture of what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Let me see
Double
it.
check.
I got something. I got something for you. Let's switch it up because you will be perceived so hard in that space. It will watch you like a hawk. Like, where did you come from? Spend all your money. They may be broke, but they don't look it. In Melbourne, they want to look broke, but they're not. Like in Northside, I mean. So I think they'll just wear whatever, but they'll be like, oh, my mom bought these 17 houses. This is one of them. I don't know. But like, you look homeless. It's like, I know, it's chic, right? This is $1,000. And I think that is also differentiation. But I don't know where that came from. I have friends outside. I have friends north side. I pop down to both, but I also know to dress appropriately for both. Like I always want to look cute because I love that saying, bring value. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, me neither, but I'm definitely putting it in my pocket.
That is stolen. Like, you heard it here first, folks. If you didn't, you didn't know. I was always raised to go out, like I'm representing my whole family when I go out, so I can't just be looking all dusty and crusty, but knowing what level of dress I need to do for that. And it's very weird that distinction almost like for people on the north side, there's a common saying about people on the south side that they couldn't make it in Sydney, so they settled in south side. That's just a thing that has been said repeatedly. I have never said it outside of this one moment, but I think it's hilarious because some of those people would fit in very well in Sydney, like that kind of way they carry themselves. I feel the same way at a Sydney bar as I do at some bars Southside. Not all bars Southside. It's not like, I'll never go Southside. Oh, you're from South here, I'm not dating you. It's nothing like that, but that's just been my experience. When I go to Northside, I'll go into a venue by myself and be like, I can make a friend or two. I feel mildly uncomfortable doing that Southside at the moment, just because it is a who's who whenever you go out in a lot of these spaces. There have been some very interesting interactions that we've come across in various nights, particularly one Australian rap battle.
I've heard of this, but I haven't gotten the full scope.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Because Nicole still hasn't recovered. So it actually started, we were out with our friend Jesse. We were hanging out at Beer Mash on Smith Street. Cute little thing. Jesse was like, I'm taking pictures from my sister's boyfriend's rap battle. And I look at Nicole, because this is around the time we were talking about doing the podcast. And it was like, rap battle.
Yeah.
How much was it? He said $10, and I think that was all you needed to say in the first place. First of all, your rap battle was $10, and it was it Northcote or Thornbury?
I think it's Northcote because it's the Cactus Room.
Because we went to your house first and then came back. So it's somewhere in that area, which for our listeners who are not in Melbourne, it's a real hipster place. It's hella white. So they're having a rap battle here. We're going to check it out. So we rocked up. And I think we missed the first show because it was dead when we first got there.
We were confused. We were like, are we at the right place?
But it was intermission. There was like 10 people just kind of mingling in the space. And was like, okay, well, we've already paid. Me looking at the exit, I'm like, should we just go? Like, your house
we're going to need a refund.
Your house is not that far away. We can just take it back. We tried. But then it got started. And I always mess up his name because Nicole remembers his name.
Stop.
It's like Sundance Kid and Sky Daddy.
Okay,
Daddy.
it was the Milky Bar kid. He was dressed up as a cowboy, and the Milky Bar is a type of candy bar that they have here, a chocolate candy bar, but I think it's white chocolate.
Oh.
And that's what he based his look from. And then the other guy was named Sky Daddy.
And I kept calling him Space Daddy for some reason. I don't know why I kept calling him Space Daddy, because I actually couldn't believe that he was on the planet hurting my ears like this.
Because he was wearing this hoodie that had this galactic print on it. And to be honest with you, I had heard the phrase Sky Daddy before. I knew it was an internet reference. That's what they call God. Like, oh, don't do that. It's going to piss off Sky Daddy. Which was a funny internet joke, but then this guy made it his rap persona. I could not necessarily understand what it was that I was saying, because essentially they wanted to take us on this journey. So they had a narrator up there who talked about this epic saga between Sky Daddy and the Milky Bar kid, and she was narrating very Mother Goose, like, and then Sky Daddy met his match when he walked in and saw the Milky Bar kid. Their eyes met, and the tension rose. And I was like, okay, cool.
But then they
cool.
proceeded to battle. They put out
They
Beyblades.
did.
They pulled out Beyblades.
They
Pull out?
Beyblades.
they pulled out Beyblades.
What's a?
You don't have a Beyblade?
No, I don't even know what that. I've
All right,
never
so
heard of
you
her.
Google that, but I'll just explain as we go. In the late 90s, early 2000s, a Beyblade was like this little anime show, and they're basically spinning tops. So they would go to these competitions and take these little metal spinning tops, and it would spin for 30 seconds, but they made that episode go for so long, and they would like yell at each other across the ring.
Yeah, and they were rapping while the Beyblades were going off. And
They're
it was like,
spinning.
I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get you. You don't know what I'm going to do with you. And I was like,
But the thing is, that's actually better than the rap that we heard.
Because I was like,
No,
I
right?
was like,
I was
that's kind of
okay.
cute.
I mean, Nicole wrote a song last episode, so this is not a first or this happened.
Come on,
But
a lyricist.
One of the Beyblades stopped in the middle of the battle. So while he was rap battling, he was like grabbing it, trying to restart his shit.
right,
In the
restarted
middle.
Beyblade.
Just imagine like someone's car not starting up. They're about to race. And like, "It's low. I'm low on gas. It's on E, but I know my car. Vroom, 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 vroom. And your mother's dusty.
Oh, no. And you were just like kind of watching. You're just like, what am I witnessing here?
Oh.
And then they had to restart the Beyblades. And then that part came to an end. And then Mother Goose came back out. And she was just like, and then they were walking through. And then they came upon, I can't remember his name.
Actually, to be fair, there was one rapper that was decent. His name is Kudos.
Kudos,
His name
yes.
is Kudos. I follow him on Spotify, Apple Music.
He
'cause
had some cute songs.
He had some cute bars. Like,
He
I
had
saved this
cute
shit on
songs.
here. But Milky Bar Kid was throwing out his own candy.
Yes, that was like when he was rapping. He's like, I wish I could remember the bar, but then he quite literally threw the Milky Bars in the air to sprinkle candy on the crowd, and then it hit Mother Goose in the head,
And we're just standing on the
and
side.
the candy just went pop, and it bounced off of her head. And of course, at this moment in time, I'm an awkward person, and when awkward things happen, I make eye contact with people. I don't know why. And then this thing like
never
just
look at me,
pink,
'cause I'm
right
gonna
off her
laugh, 'cause
head.
I will always laugh.
I just looked at her, and we both made eye contact. And she tried to play it off in character, like, "Oh dearie me," and like picked it up, and then like
Now she see
handed
through
me.
video from mother just see through video. Oh dear, I did my chocolate bar.
Oh dear. And then she hands me the chocolate bar, and I'm just like, thank you. And I didn't know what to do. There's just so much happening. There was so much going on, and I put the candy bar in my pocket. I didn't know what else to do.
Nicole
I
kept
did.
the candy bar, and I'm like,
I did. At the end, they were like, and it's going to be an epic rap battle with all the rappers that we have seen here tonight. And I heard rap battle just thinking about what it is that we just witnessed. And I turned to look at Ri'chard, and Ri'chard had pulled his phones out, being like, I'm looking at tram times because I will not be, I will not
subjected to
be
any
doing
more.
this.
I am not. I've given you enough of my time. You should have paid me $10 to stay here.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Lyrically, it was just all very gimmicky.
Yeah.
And I get it. There are some gimmick rappers out there, and, you know, by all means, do what you got to do. But to sit through a whole show.
I had high hopes. I was optimistic when we walked in the door.
Were you? We were.
I was. You
We
were.
were. I kind of felt like it was gonna be a shit show.
I was optimistic. Like maybe there'll be like a little gym, and there was a gym.
There was, and it was kudos.
Yeah, and kudos
Shout
to
out to kudos for sure.
I think on that same vein, one of the things that I miss from back home is just like clubs that are dedicated for hip hop and R&B that are not painful. Because like we have Laundry here, and like if we have Laundry fans out here, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. Laundry is a hip hop bar on Johnson Street, I think. It's hip hop R&B, and like they want to be inclusive, but you walk in there, there's maybe 3 of us, and it's the whitest of white people, and the music transitions are trash. Anytime you walk in there as a person of color, like, ooh, it's like being a celebrity, but not in the fun way.
Yeah.
Just like, it's more stairs rather than getting free things. I miss places where it could just be, oh, we can just go out and dance and not have a dance circle formed around us minding our own business. And I think, actually, I think her in the music room has been okay a lot of times. Like, that's not exclusively.
Music room. I love that vibe.
And like, that's not exclusively hip hop, R&B, or anything, but that's just a nice vibe to just go in there and it's not like on display. But otherwise, outside of her music room, there's not that many venues for that. There's hip hop R&B nights occasionally. Like, I think the Shady Lady had one night that we went to with Drew and everyone.
I think I remember that.
There's a receipt.
Yeah, my brain synapses are not working as quickly right now, but I also club yo-yo and stuff like that. Okay, this is the thing, right? It just feels like when these clubs play R&B and rap, or in hip hop, or whatever the case may be, people just take it as this license to act really shitty.
Yeah.
It just invites like really just gutter behavior.
Not gutter.
I was going to say buffoonery, but
buffoonery is also very descriptive. It just it seems to usher in this kind of, just, I don't know. Remember when Justin Bieber was doing like that whole thing, like back in the day when he was like, with his music? I know the Belieber's about to blow our asses up, but you know, like.
Are there still Believers? I thought they gave up.
I don't know. They don't believe no more. No. And when he went through that phase of peeing in mop buckets and just doing like all this stuff, and then like people were just like, oh, he's just being hip hop. Like he's just emulating like what rappers do. And I'm like, I don't know rappers that, don't get me wrong, there are people acting a fool everywhere.
Absolutely.
But it was this weird pass that was given to him because they're like, oh no, he's just acting black. And that was the
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, yes, or Miley Cyrus. Yes, exactly. Wait, let's wake it up.
No, as soon as I was
Let's
like,
wake it
I'm
up.
not gonna do it. I'm like, I have to.
Let's wake it up.
I've never forgiven her. So I was hardcore. I was down with Hannah Montana and Miley. Like, that was my girl. Like,
Yeah.
she's roughly our age anyway. So it was like, that was cute. She's doing her own thing. Like, oh, little pop, whatever. Love it.
Yep.
And then she went
Can't
to
be tamed.
Then she went to Bangers.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Bangers album, the whole Wrecking Ball, Thumb Finger, 23, Mike Will Made It nonsense. And I'm like, ooh, I was with you for a while, girl, but like this is appropriation. And then she's like, no, it's just me. This is just who I actually am. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to accept and say that this is true. I'm gonna go against my better judgment. And then 2 years later, she's like, just kidding, that wasn't me. I'm white again. Here's Malibu.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, bitch, you don't.
Oh my
No, bitch, you
God. That was really what it was. It was like always like, it's so crazy. It's like with these pop stars, they will go through an age or an era where they will cut their hair, dye it blonde, and then they'll just act, and then they'll get really cozied up to the rap community. But it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess because Katy Perry did the same thing.
Stop it.
She did. She cut her hair off. She went blonde after doing like the whole Betty Page look, which was really, really cute. It was working, girl. And then she does that, and then they go through, and then she didn't go as full as what Miley did in the Bangers era. But then it was just like, and then but then once again it was appropriation because they were like, oh, she's twerking, and it's just like that's not what that is.
She's about to give herself some back problems.
Listen, that was a lower back seizure. I don't know what that was, but it was not that. And then she comes out later and it's just like actually twerking is canceled. And it was like what you were doing was never considered that. And second of all, it's not up to you.
You don't speak for us.
You do not speak for us. It is not from your community. You don't even know what you're talking about. You were out there just like, oh man, the Beetlejuice suit on frickin' Robin Thicke at the VMAs, and just like that was just like, wow, that was just so crazy. But going back to like, for some reason when they cozy up to that side, it invites kind of like trash behavior.
Yeah.
It's the quiet part out loud that you think that we act that way ultimately. And it's just like, yeah, no thank you. No thank you.
Actually, so on that, obviously we have her here, and we have other venues of some sort, but I'm not terribly well versed in Sydney's space. Are there R&B nights or anything like that? Because you said at the end of your stay in Sydney, you were kind of getting more into the underground, where you were exposed to more people of color. Were there more events like that on your side or in Sydney at that point?
Yeah, look, there are, but again, I think if you want experience and not that gimmicky kind of thing that you're speaking about, Nicole, you've got to know where things are. I feel like I was lucky enough towards the end to have a few coworkers who were very entrenched in the Sydney music scene. And so through them, we got to go to a number of like events. They weren't venues, but they were events.
Cool.
Okay.
You know, and that was rich. But on a everyday given night kind of thing, no. But I should also say that I might not be the most appropriate person to speak on that, because my sort of, where I was focusing a lot of my attention was on the electronic scene, house music. That's what I was really looking for. And yeah, it was in small little glimmers, small little pockets, but I didn't focus a lot of my energy on R&B and hip hop. So maybe there are other people out there in Sydney that are like, yeah, it's thriving, it's booming. I don't think so, but
yeah. But you know what? That actually makes a really good point, because one of the things that I've noticed about living here, when it comes to nights out or events being put on, you got to know somebody who knows somebody. It's actually really hard to find out where things are. And you're like, oh, well, wouldn't they just put it on the internet? Not necessarily. Not really. Not a lot of the times. You literally have to know someone. It has to be by word of mouth. Also, another thing that they do here is they put posters, old school, is it billboard posters? Yeah. Is it billboard? Yeah. Billboard posters, like on the wall. And then that's how I would know that people are coming into town to perform. Otherwise, I would have no idea.
Complete tangent, but related to the billboard posters. The other day, I was on my lunch break and just taking a walk up the block, and this lady was removing billboard posters from the wall that were missing child posters. And so I was like, has the child been found?
Oh my gosh. Damn. To promote her party?
Yeah.
To put up a party poster?
She didn't put anything else up. She was just pulling off, because there were like a whole bunch. Because, as you're saying, so, when they've got these billboard posters, a lot of times there'll be like 12 of them.
Yeah, they'll be layered up on the wall. Yeah,
and it
totally.
was just like this missing child, and she was just, and she was pulling, she was ripping them down, okay? She was with vigor. She said, these have got to go. And I said, well,
fuck this kid.
Damn. No evidence.
Oh my God. Well, we found him. We found the culprit.
Yes. But it wasn't a celebratory pull. It was like this has got to go.
I was like, you will not find me.
No, right. Are you the child?
I'm like, what is going on?
This is tangled.
But yes, billboard. Yeah. You do, to your point, Nicole. You've got to know where things are. And I feel like something that has come up quite frequently, or something that I've pulled a lot from these podcasts, has been this point about community.
Yes.
And that, I think, especially in these days after moving down to Melbourne, has resonated on such a deep level. This idea that probably regardless of who you are, whether you're Australian or American or Black or white, having a community, whatever that looks like for you, it just makes the difference.
It does.
Oh, absolutely.
It really does.
It's vital.
Right? Because even in Sydney or in Broome or in, wherever you are, if you've got your crew, bad bitches, I keep them by the two. You know what I mean? It just makes a difference. Yes. It does.
It does. It's just like having that camaraderie. It matters. It makes all the difference, because that's what like the COVID times took from us, that connection.
Absolutely.
And y'all had it bad.
Yeah. Wait till next week. Next week's when the COVID episode comes out. We talk about all 6 lockdowns, and it's just going to be, I mean, at this point it would already be out, so it won't matter, but it's more for you.
Yeah.
It was a whole time and a half.
One thing I wanted to mention is just like we talked about it on the first episode of like how people don't necessarily dance here.
Okay.
In the bars. And then when we go...
It was in a cutout scene, so it was not in the episode.
Great. And we talk about how it feels like you have to go to specific places for people to dance, whereas like in Jersey, 9 times out of 10, there will be music playing and there will be a dance floor. Yeah. Whereas like here, it doesn't necessarily happen with that. And then I even remember when Ri'chard and I went to a jazz club here, where you're supposed to sit there, maybe in reverence. I mean, there's a bit of respect.
Contemplation, absorbing it.
Absorbing, the beautiful word. Absorbing the music, because these are music professionals playing at the top of their game, and you're there to, you know, soak in and absorb the moment. And we went to this jazz bar, and oh my God, these people talked from the first note to intermission. And about nonsense too, like, oh yeah, you know, went to work today, and just, you know, then I accidentally stepped in a dog turd and blah blah. And you're just like, what the fuck? I'm like, we're listening to jazz. We're in a jazz club. Don't you want to soak this in? What the fuck does your day have to do with any of this? But everybody was talking. Everybody was talking. I couldn't believe it.
And like, that was the first time we took Nicole there. And like, I love that venue, but they definitely let too many people in, especially like in COVID times. Because we had a seat along the wall. And it's like, oh, we get a cute little view. And then everyone was standing in front of you. So then you kind of had to stand as well. But they were just not, people had their backs to the performers. Having a conversation with the person behind them. And I'm just like, that's messy. That is
messy. That is really, really, really messy. Yeah, look, on the dancing thing, that is a struggle of mine, because for me, dancing is everything. It's everything. Same. It's Same. Spiritual.
Yes.
That's why I go out, right?
Yes.
I'll get dressed up because I want to get dressed up.
I want to be perceived, but I want to feel, it's for me. I want to feel good. I want to look good. I'm going to do it.
It's like a celebration of life.
It is. And I know I'm going to sweat out my hair. Like, because you know what I mean? Like, I get dressed up, take a picture, and then sweat that shit out.
Well,
you know?
Let's get it for real. Let's put on real shoes.
Absolutely. It's the release.
It is.
It's the release.
It is. But it is different here. And like, you know, I've got a couple of really good friends in Sydney who are dancers.
Yeah.
Shout out to Laura. Shout out to Lindley.
Ew.
These girls are dancers. And through them, we've been introduced to a dance community. And they do it different. Okay? Ooh. When you go out with the dancers, they go out to dance. And it is not always alcohol driven either. It is music and movement, period.
Yeah, that's
right.
Nicole. That is Nicole.
It's music and movement. And those nights have been so special for me. But typically going out in Melbourne, in Sydney, in Broome, it is very alcohol driven, and it's stiff. It's stiff. or it's movement but without rhythm.
Oh no, poor babies.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stop you when you lie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. At least people are trying. But yeah, it feels like the driving force about going out here is to get as fucked up as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the music is a secondary thing.
Yep. Absolutely. That has absolutely been a lot of my experience. Yeah, until I met the girls, the dancers, and that showed me a sort of different side of things. But again, you have to know somebody kind of scenario.
Gotta know somebody. Well, please let me know when they come down here, because I need to be in that. I need to be connected to that kind of source energy, because for me, now that I've gotten older, music is my church.
Mm-hmm.
The dance floor is my place of worship.
Yes.
And when I can go there and feel connected to other people who feel that same thing, I feel like there's no better feeling in the universe.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah. I'm same page.
Absolutely. I wish we had a tambourine right now. I would shake it. Oh, glory. Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm. There's not a button for that.
Oh, I wish. Damn, don't let me get no tambourine button.
Good luck programming it. Because that's just confusing.
Oh my God. It had to be said.
Oh no, it definitely
It had to be said, because I was just like, it's definitely something that I've noticed here. And I'm just like, Am I being hypercritical? Is that what it is? No, it's just what it is.
That was in our first teaser trailer. So we're talking about the time with the jump rope with the scarves. Essentially, I host poker nights, and we go to Circuit sometimes. So, because Circuit, I didn't recommend it. Like, it's there. It's depending on who you go with. You have a good time with the right people, a bad time with the wrong people. Sometimes you can go by yourself, and it'll be great. It's a hit and miss. You're gambling with your life or with your night, essentially, when you go to Circuit. But after poker, we usually pop in. We went in there, ordering drinks, and the music is going, but like there's a circle. And in my mind, it's a dance battle. Like, something's happening. Because back home, if there's a circle of people, not like dancing more, but they're just like cheering, doing these things. These people are jumping rope using scarves, full body length. They've tied them up. We posted it. I think did we post it on our Instagram?
I think we did.
If we didn't, we'll post it again. And I'm like, are they actually? They were literally just jumping rope because it was not terribly busy. But I'm like, why are you taking this dance for?
Sorry, Jordan's face is so crunch and screwed. It's like.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'll remember what I think it was maybe June, July, and I'll send it to you. And it was just, this is the most hilarious thing. And I posted that teaser, and another guy at a club a few weeks later was like, I disagree with you. I think people dance. In America, they don't dance. I was in America, they weren't dancing. I'm oh, you were in America one time?
Yeah.
For a couple days?
No, you know what? To the point where one of the most challenging things for me in going to Sydney was when we first got there, we were going out. And I mean, I'll be dancing, and I don't need a dance partner. I love a dance partner, but I don't need it. As long as the music's playing, girl, I'm gonna go do my thing.
Correct.
But I would have people come up to me
and then start talking to you.
They would start talking, but then they would also start, oh, your leg movement. Which part of Africa are you from? Which part of this? Yes.
Which part of Africa are you from?
They would.
I'm
they
sorry,
would.
I'm screaming.
But they really would. No, but they would, and it became so probably. Or the hair. I'd have my hair out, and that would be, and it was Look, and that was such a thing, and the craziest thing about it, is that even when I am working up a sweat, it is mild compared to my crew back home.
Yes.
You
know what I mean?
We're not trying to go all out because then you're going to cause, then you'll attract too much attention. And the fact that I have that thought as well. I don't really want to enjoy myself there because now the people are going to come talk to me and interact. And I'm not here for you. I'm here for me. And it's like muting yourself so that you don't have to deal with that extra thing. Relate.
What part of Africa are you from?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Actually, that happened on the tram the other day. I wasn't even doing anything. I was standing waiting for a tram in this bright pink singlet, and this girl got off the tram. I think she was drunk. I'm going to tell myself she was drunk. She was like, ooh, I like your singlet. That's tank top for our American friends.
Yes.
I like your singlet. Where did you grow up? I'm like, what do you mean? Why? I was like, and I'm like, I'm not in a social mood. Thank you. And I put my
Did you say that?
I did. I don't fuck around.
Work.
I love that.
We don't do this anymore because Nicole's told stories where people just engage with her and she doesn't. She's like, I gotta be nice. No, you don't.
Yeah, I have the disease to please.
That's me.
I don't. I've been cured.
I've been cured.
Hallelujah.
Girl, so on the tram.
Tamarine button.
Let me tell you, on the tram just here, I have these red boots on at the moment, and there was a lady that was sitting just across from me who also had red boots on. And I didn't notice because, girl, I was listening to Beyonce in my AirPods.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was in my own world. Yeah. And she taps me. She goes, tap, tap, tap. And I'm like, she must be lost. So I take one out, like
remove a headphone.
One, but busy. You take one out just like,
can I help you?
That's what I did. And I said, can I help? And she goes, red boot. I'm a fag hag. And I was like, okay.
Wow. What?
She was like, have you seen Kinky Boots? I said, she did. I'm not lying. There's no lie. There's no lie.
I don't want this.
No lie.
I don't want this.
I am now standing up. I cannot even sit down right now.
Nicole has risen for the occasion.
It's no lie. And I was like, well, Melbourne, Australia.
Yes.
Welcome to Australia. Anyway,
a perfect example of the casual exchanges that happen on a daily basis. Thank you for sharing that mess.
What?
Yeah.
Have you seen? Well, first of all,
Nicole, you need to sit down.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm too upset.
We cannot hear you from up there.
I am so upset. Okay, I just can't even. I cannot even.
She did.
Oh
This is a true story. This is just on the way here. today.
And she had to use, it's 2023.
Yeah.
You act like that matters.
I mean, like, you would think that some people would be like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't necessarily say a term.
No, she's an ally.
Like,
She's an ally, Nicole. One of her homosexuals said she could say it, so she thought it was a blank thing.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jerome Christ. Yeah. Okay.
No, not Jerome.
That's his middle name. JJC. I cannot even fathom. You know, I had somebody do that to me once of just having my hair in braids in some sort of place. I don't know. I was out at karaoke and then somebody came up to me and was just like, "Oh, you're from Zimbabwe." And I was like, No, I'm not from there. You could have asked me where I'm from.
I actually don't ask me that either. Don't ask me that.
Unfriendly black hotties in full effect. It needs to become.
Yeah, you got to practice the unfriendly part.
Oh, no.
You got to practice your unfriendly. You were far too nice because I'll teach you. Because
oh my God.
Come up to me like again. Anytime someone tries to reach out, touch Nicole's hair, I'm like, oh, that's.
Oh
hand.
my
like,
God.
Who are you?
Yeah.
I don't know this hand. Does this hand know you? Okay, leave.
Yeah, that's why I stopped wearing my hair out. Was because people were touching it here in Australia.
Yeah.
And it bothered me so much.
Yeah.
So I got real accustomed to a bun.
I know that's right. It's just because sometimes you don't necessarily want to have to deal with that.
I mean, nobody.
Which is crazy.
But you know what? The blonde chick that's walking down the street, she doesn't want somebody touching her hair.
Nobody does.
You know what I mean? The guy with the swoop to the side, he doesn't want somebody touching his swoop. No one wants that.
Yep.
Yeah. No one wants it. No.
But that is a thing.
It is a thing.
That is a really, really big thing.
Yeah.
Also, where the fuck do you get your hair did in Melbourne? Because that's another thing.
I will plug you.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay.
I got my girl Ella. She was on the, yep.
Talking about connections and about knowing people, I got really lucky having one of my first jobs, one of my longest jobs here was working at a gay bar on Smith Street.
Yeah.
So doing that, you get to know the other bartenders, and when they start leaving the bars and going to host their own parties, host their own events, you still get invited. Not as much on Facebook anymore, but it's word of mouth. Like, hey, what are you doing? We're doing this thing, and just be able to pass it on. But one of the things I wanted to do before we wrapped up the episode, because I don't have too much more, is like give recommendations of some of our favorite places that we've gone to. Whether not that they have to be necessarily filled with black people, because there's no places like that, but places that you felt really comfortable, that you enjoyed yourself in any capacity. And you could also give Sydney recommendations if that's easier for you to just share with people who may pop down and see things, or be like, oh, I didn't hear my one venue on there. Maybe I need to step it up. Like whatever that looks like. But I'm happy to go first since it was my suggestion, so no one's caught off guard like that. For me personally, I think this is not really a night place. It's like one of my favorite bars in Collingwood. It's Beer Mash, so it's a good place to start your day. Actually, most places on Smith Street are pretty easy. If it's 5 o'clock, good people watching, that's where we were when we decided to go to the White Rat Battle. Lots of different beers, spirits. There's a hidden cocktail bar above. It's not terribly hidden, but now it's exposed to our 1 million listeners that they're going to be flooded. But like, it's a good place to start and maybe go on your night, and then just kind of roam down Smith Street to warm up for whatever that night will entail. And they closed at like 1, so it could be, actually, I don't want to turn up any further. I got a little buzz, I can go home. Or you know what? It's 11 o'clock. Let's see what's popping down the street or a neighborhood over.
I haven't been there. I have to check that out. Beer
Mash. Yeah, we'll go sometime.
Yeah.
It's cute. Well, I don't have specific places that I necessarily want to go to, but there are some. I go where the wind takes me. I try to stay open to that. But there are some DJs that are here in Melbourne that anytime that they're playing somewhere, I have to be there. Got to shout out my girl Motherfunk, Chrissy from Chicago. You know Chrissy.
So
love me some Chrissy. Shout out to her. Yes.
Story.
Yes.
Okay. In 10 seconds.
Oh, so good.
2 weeks ago, left Circuit because it was Circuit. And I was with a couple girlfriends, came into the city, got out the car, walking across the road, see this group of girls, and they were fierce. I mean, they were fierce. Chrissy was in that group.
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
And so we just immediately, had a quick little chat.
Love that.
And and then last weekend I went and saw Chrissy DJ.
Yeah.
And we're going to catch up soon. Just good energy.
Good energy.
Yeah.
Good music. I love that. She's from Chicago. Yeah. She's got like the house stuff, and then she's good with bringing in like the R&B. Like she's just good at layering everything together. So absolutely love her. Another really awesome badass chick DJ, DJ Jeanette. She's really talented. Anytime she plays a set out, I saw her open for Carrie Chandler a few years ago, and it was a sick house set. And then this one other chick who I saw, this DJ, her name is Jennifer Loveless.
Okay.
And she is OMG.
I have heard Jennifer Loveless,
Anytime she's playing out somewhere, because now she's like, is it Summerbird, Snowbird? She essentially just goes around the world wherever summer is happening.
Love
so
that.
she's only in Melbourne during the summertime. And one of the first sets that I caught was like a really cool party. It was at a warehouse in Preston. You get a text message. You don't know where the location is till later in that night. And it was one of those in between. It was in 2021. It was one of those in between lockdown kind of things. So I had to go out. And she was one of the DJs that was there. And the song that she closed her set with was Waiting for Tonight by Jennifer Lopez. And it felt so cathartic in that moment of just being able to release. And it was like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. That just that connection on the dance floor. And for me, like, the dance floor is like, it's the center of the universe. It is where everything is going right.
Yeah.
It's a place of acceptance. And just like a real dance floor where you're cutting up and having a good time, and you're not even, you don't care what you look like, and you're just fully present and in the moment. And she really ushered in that feeling. And then she even played when Peggy Gou was here last year.
Oh, wow.
And she had a set at the same time within Sydney Meyer Music Bowl. And I was like, I love me some Peggy Gou.
Yeah.
But I was like, I had to go check out some Jennifer Loveless because she brings it every time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check her out.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. In Melbourne, Music Room is up there.
Yes, so cool.
Every time I've gone there, I've had a fantastic time. Section 8 is up there for me.
I do love Section 8.
Yeah. And I think Section 8 is one of those places that you can go during the week after work and just have a couple of drinks. You don't have to be sloshed. You can be, but you don't have to be. And it's just I feel like it's like.
It's a cute environment. It feels very Melbourne because it's down a little, it's on a hidden alleyway, and it's just like set up, it's like cages and. It just feels like they was like, we'll just put something here.
Yeah.
And it just works so well.
Yeah. Love Section 8. Ferdy Dirk, which is just next to Section 8, but upstairs is also a cool vibe. Rooftop bar. Just on top of Cookie.
Cool.
That one is really, really cool. And they do I think in the summers they do the cinema up on the rooftop.
Oh, cute.
Fantastic. In Sydney, Club 77 is great. It's like a sort of Woolloomooloo, I guess, area. In terms of like the queer or gay nightlife, I guess Oxford Street is really special in the sense that there are multiple venues just on that one street. In terms of diversity, it's not the most diverse sort of street as a queer person, but there are multiple venues. You've got Universal, you've got Arc, you've got, Stonewall. So there's a couple of spots just there on the street. So you can have a night out just there. Yeah. But if you want to get glammed up, the Ivy, is a nice place to go. But I think kind of taking a page out of your book, Nicole, for me, my best times out have been, I think about specific artists and DJs and performers who have, been in Australia, who have done just amazing shit. And hands down, the number one, Honey Dijon.
Yes! Oh, my God! Oh, my God.
Period.
I was devastated. I was actually overseas when she came here. I was so devastated that I missed the show, but I know I was looking at the pictures on Instagram, and I was like, oh, this is such a vibe.
Yeah.
Such a vibe.
Yeah.
Beautiful, like just queer people just in a place where they could be safe and celebrating and just being their full selves.
Yeah. And she brings value.
Yes.
Like she has thought about curation, I think was a word that was said before. She has thought about the curation of whether it's a 90-minute set or longer or short. She has thought about it.
Yes.
And the couple of times that I've heard her play in Australia have just been another level. They've been, and they've just been a whole nother level. And, and I think she might even be from Chicago. She's from,
I think so.
She's from the States.
I think so. But I don't know her entire origin story, but it's like, that's why I was so upset I was already upset that Beyonce didn't win Album of the Year, but that would have been a Grammy for Honey Dijon because she did her thing on Renaissance. She did her thing.
She did.
And that kind of talent deserves to be rewarded.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Those are my,
Absolutely.
I suppose, spots that I can think of just off the top of my head.
It was a very spontaneous question, so
I
incredible
love that.
recommendations all
Oh
the way
my
through.
gosh.
Can I just add one thing?
Please do.
Because I've learned that y'all always do the culture shock.
Yes.
And I was thinking, I was like, I have a culture shock. But I
Okay.
don't know. But I do.
Yes.
Chipotle. Chipotle. And more than that, Mexican food in Australia.
Stop.
Where do you get it?
Stop.
If you're coming, give it up. Just let it go.
Up, delicious.
Just
It is
let it
not.
go. It's a lot of good food in Australia, but Mexican food, where is it?
Oh my gosh, I say this
And Caribbean food.
all the time. I say this as well. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where it is, because the thing that's so confusing is because the food here is so good.
Yes.
The food here is so good, but they cannot figure out Mexican cuisine
It's not
to
about
save their
figuring out.
lives.
It's just because you can't copy the soul. There's love in that. You can't copy that. So you have to be the one making it. And the next episode of recording, funnily enough, transition-wise, is food and drink.
Yes.
So we're going to talk in depth about how it's not here, but also the stuff that we do love that is here, but it 1,000% is not, because no one's here making it. Like, no one, a lot of this Italian food that's really good, made by Italian people. A lot of this, like, Japanese food here, made by Japanese people.
Yes.
And we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get there, but...
Yeah, because it's just, I know, but unfortunately, there are places here. We have a friend of ours, Anna, shout out to Anna, who's been trying to give us Mexican food recommendations here, but...
Have you tried them?
I have not tried them, but she's been trying. She's like, no, we can find something. And I'm like,
Well, let me
honey,
know, 'cause
good
I'm
on you for trying.
I'm happy to try and give a scathing review when I don't like it. I gave it a try and my diarrhea did not approve.
Oh, no. It is just...
Me and mine.
The search continues, though. The search continues. It's hard to find here. It's so hard to find here. I mean, it's impossible.
But on that note, I'm going to wrap up. But before we sign off, can you let our listeners know where to find you on your socials to get you triple plugged and everything?
Ausli Hue. AUSLIHUE. That's what I am everywhere. Music, all of that. Yeah.
Love that. Again, thank you so much for coming. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you both. This has been a delight.
Love having you. Thank you so much.
But until next time, I'm Ri'chard.
And I'm Nicole.
And this has been Melanated in Melbourne.
See you guys. This has been Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast that analyzes the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties. Follow us at Melanated in Melbourne on Instagram and TikTok. If you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask us, then email us at melanatedinmelbourne@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.